Okay, welcome back. Again, before we start, let's pray for all the quick recovery of all the infected people, and let's pray for the health of all the healthcare people and other supporting people who are helping us to get out of this pandemic situation. So, with that, we'll go to this wonderful chapter of chapter 7. 5 minutes introduction, and means at the end we can reserve some 10 minutes for any questions. So this chapter is the first of the second section of the Gita. The second section of the Gita, the predominant focus is the nature of Ishvara, or the higher reality. Whereas the first section was predominantly focusing on the individual, the second section focuses on God, or the higher reality. So God defined, that is the topic. So Krishna introduces this topic very well by giving a quick introduction, because he said, I'm going to introduce myself. Both theory and an experiential knowledge you will gain once you listen to me. And I'm going to give you everything, not just a bitten portion. I'm going to expose the God to you so that you won't miss the God. So that is the promise given in the beginning. And then he said, please know that this is not an ordinary knowledge. A lot of people struggle to get this knowledge, but I'm going to give that ready-made to you. So with this introduction, he started introducing two natures of Ishvara. I think last week we spent a lot of time explaining these two aspects. One is the higher nature, and the second one is the lower nature of Ishvara. The higher nature of the Ishvara, we call it as Para-Prakriti. Para-Prakriti is the absolute reality, and we talked about little bit about the Srishti Prakriya of Ishvara, meaning of the universe. If you consider time as if you consider time series, right, this universe will manifest and unmanifest again and again and again. How many times? We have no idea. So when the universe is not manifested, it is called undifferentiated universe, avyakta. And when the universe get manifested in between, it is known as vyakta. But beyond vyakta and avyakta, there is an absolute reality which supports the entire universe. And we call that as Satvastu, we call that as Brahman, and we call that as absolute reality. And that is the higher nature of God, which we call it as Para-Prakriti. And this Para-Prakriti, we call that as the Nimitta Upadana Karana of the universe, the material and intelligent cause of the universe. And last week I borrowed a couple of terms from the modern philosophy and metaphysics. Those two terms were transcendent and immanent, if you remember that. So there are two aspects of God. One aspect is called transcendent, which is not directly experienced by my sense organs. I need to go out of my current realm of knowledge to experience that. And that is what is transcendent. And immanent nature of the God is something I can experience with my current capacity. So these two we explained, and I used a drishtanta or example of a dream. And again I underlined every example, every metaphor has its limitation, and that's why it is a metaphor. Otherwise it would have been the reality. So this dream metaphor, don't think that world is Ishvara's dream. So in that dream example, I said, suppose somebody is, I was using Gina as the example. So if Gina is dreaming that she is doing a yoga class, in her dream, Gina is also a character. Other people are there. Yoga mats is there. The building is there. The music is there. All that was created using her mind stuff. So I was just trying to explain who is the material cause of that dream universe. I can say that dream universe was created by Gina. And Within dream, Gina is also a character. And whatever she experiences in that dream is an imminent experience. So the material cause is myself, the intelligent cause is myself, and everything is sustained in me, and everything merges back to me, and everything was created to me. So for that dream world, Gina was the God, Ishvara. And within dream world, let us say that she is explaining about Vedanta or Bhagavad Gita. Let's say that she is doing a Bhagavad Gita class. So suppose one person say that, who is that God? The real person who created that universe is lying down in a bed. That real person is outside of his experience. And for that person, for that dream person, the person sitting on the lying down on the bed is a transcendent experience. So that example is a very powerful example that shows this immanent and transcendent nature of God. So we talked about that para prakriti, and we said from this para prakriti, this apara prakriti evolves. At the beginning of every cycle, what is going to happen? This apara prakriti get evolved. And apara prakriti is nothing but it is the material fabric of the entire universe. When we say material fabric, it is represented by 5 basic elements. And I said that this 5 basic element comes from the Panchabhuta model. And this Panchabhuta model is from an ancient worldview, a pre-scientific worldview, where the entire world they assumed or they modeled using these 5 elements. And these 5 elements represents the 5 states of matter. In fact, 4 states of matter plus the absence of any other state. So solid, liquid, gas, plasma and space. The combination of these 5 states of matter is the entire physical universe. But along with the physical universe, we said there is a subtle universe. And that subtle universe is nothing but the mind, intellect and the ahankara. So that forms with that subtle matter. So the subtle world as well as the physical world is created by these 5 elements, 5 plus 3 elements. And these apara prakriti constitutes the entire material world. So from para prakriti, the apara prakriti came in, and from apara prakriti what happened? The entire universe of all the names and forms, including the subtle universe, got created. So that is what we said. And then what happened? In the universe, along with the material objects, there are living beings. So the living being constitute matter plus consciousness. The consciousness of a living being is provided by para prakriti, because the surupa or the real nature of the para prakriti is consciousness. So the consciousness is given to a living being by the para prakriti, and the matter or the body is given again by the para prakriti, but indirectly. From para prakriti, the apara prakriti came up. From the apara prakriti, all the matters formed. And if you remember, we talked about the bucket, water and the sun example. The sun can be considered as para prakriti, and the buckets and the water the combination can be considered as apara prakriti. And when there is a bucket and water combination, what happens? The reflection of the sun will happen. And when the reflection is happening, you can see a consciousness there. And I said, right, when you move that water from one bucket to the other, it appears a new sun is born in that new bucket. But the sun was never born. The sun was always there, but the material became capable of reflecting that sun. So then, having explained this, Krishna said, the transcendent nature of Ishvara or the God or the absolute reality, it is very difficult to conceive in our current state. So how do you recognize Ishvara? How do you understand Ishvara? How do you connect with that God? It's easy, because the immanent nature of God is always readily available for us to perceive. Krishna said, remember, even if the bucket is there, the water is there, the water has to be pure and it has to be stable for reflecting the sun properly. So he said, even though hundreds, everything in the universe is a manifestation of Ishvara, you might be able to see that glory of the Ishvara or the Vibhuti of Ishvara at certain places. So in from verse 8, he is trying to give a few examples. In fact, 8, 9, 10, 11, he gives 14 examples. 14 places you can find Ishvara, the God. You don't have to go to Vaikuntha or Kailasha to see God. Just open your eyes and see this glory and contemplate upon this. So we started explaining the other day, 8 and 9, we saw that 9 places you can find God in its immanent nature. So he said, I am the wetness and the taste of water, I am the luminosity of the sun and the moon, Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo. I am the God. Wherever you see God in any scriptures, so look at that, he making it very universal. Pranava Sarva Vedeshu, the God in every scripture. We can extend that even to the other scriptures, like wherever God is mentioned, wherever the God is invoked, whether it is a church or a mosque or any places, wherever God is invoked, know that it is me. Pranava Sarva Vedeshu, and I am the sound you hear. So means one of the meditation I personally do is like when I walk in the nature, means I like nature a lot, like the sound of the nature. And you might be seeing me using a lot of natural sound in our meditation classes. It is a direct experience of God. When you see the waterfall, when you listen to the sound of rain, when you listen to the sound of cricket, everything you can see that glory of Ishvara. Just we need to have that ear. Then the manliness of man and the womanliness of women, that is also Ishvara. Like you get that which makes you who you are, the man or woman, that power is Ishvara's. And then sweet fragrance, whenever you smell something good, right? If something is bad, what happens? The reflection of that sun is not happening properly. But when you hear that, when you get that good smell, know that Ishvara. So the sense, the natural fragrance you enjoy, it is Ishvara. Then the heat and brilliance of the fire. Whenever you see fire, that is a very good source of meditation. And life in all living being. Without Ishvara, that life is not going to happen. The very fact that somebody is alive, you can see the presence of God there. And the power of austerity, the discipline somebody follows, and the power somebody gets because of the austerity. All that is me. Amazing. Like this is just taking the God from the adobe of heaven and bringing it to our day-to-day experience. That is what these verses do. If you contemplate upon these verses, it's amazing and you can experience that God. And I said, like, this is how Ramakrishna Paramahamsa told Narendra that I see God just like as I see you. And Krishna is just, Vivekananda explains this later. I understand that later point of time. This is what? Typically what we do, we keep the God completely away from us. So this is bringing God to our daily life. So let's continue. 2 more verses, he explains this. Continue to explain another 5 more examples. So we saw 9 and another 5 more is there. So let's listen to 10th verse.
Bijam mam sarva bhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatam asmi tejas tejasvinamaham.
Krishna continuing his wonderful inspired mode of speech. Krishna himself was in a very inspired mode. He's giving that speech. I'm not joking because there is another instance. After the Mahabharata war, Arjuna came and asked Krishna, can you repeat what you said at that point of time? He expressed his inability. I don't have that flow. Even though he gives some talk, it's nowhere near to this because this comes from a very inspired mind. So let's see. So he tells, Bijam mam sarva bhutanam vitti partha sanatanam. Buddhir buddhimatam asmi tejas tejasvinamaham. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam. I am the seed or the origin of all the being. Like, I'll explain this in the next slide. I am the seed for all the living beings. That is what he tells. I'm going to relate that a little bit more directly. With him, Partha Sanatanam. With him means what? Know that the eternal me is the bijam or the seed for every being, every living being. Two more things he tells. Buddhir buddhim buddhimatam asmin. The intelligence of the intellect is me. For an intelligent man, from where that intelligence comes from. All the intelligence in the world, any scientist or any poet or any artist, we know that a lot of people have intelligence. I am the intelligence of that intelligent person. Without me, that intelligence will come out. Then tejas tinamaham. The brilliance or the strength or the power that exhibits by the expression of health, I would say that. Tejas and ojas they call in Ayurveda, right? So the tejas, the expression of health in every healthy person is me. So we will see that a little bit more detail. Seed of all beings. What is seed? It is the biological source of all living beings. Remember, earlier he said, I am the yoni, edat yonini bhudani, the womb. Earlier he said. Now he said, I am the seed. The definition of the seed is, it is the biological source of all the beings, whether it is plant, animal or human. That seed, know that that biological source of all living being is me. So whenever you see a seed, because even the biggest banyan tree comes from a seed. Means it is easy to think about the trees, huge trees. A large mango tree come from a small seed. So that seed, the biological source of all the being is me. So understand that. So you can see, like when you see a huge mango tree, like you can see that the seed in that fruit is capable of bringing another mango tree. And it is able to bring that out because of that presence of Ishvara. The biological law that causes the sprouting of the seed is also me. In the commentary, Shankaracharya tells that it is not just the seed, it is the biological law that causes the sprout to bring out the tree. A mango tree is coming from a mango seed. So the seed is me, and the law that sprout the tree from that seed is also me. Amazing examples. And then he tells intelligence of the intelligent. So what is the intelligence? Biologically speaking, what is the intelligence? It is the complex neural circuits in your brain. You know that. And those who studied, studying the artificial intelligence, they know how complicated is this neural network. So from the input we get, it gets transformed into multiple times through multiple combinations. So how the circuit is formed, that is going to determine the intelligence of the neural network. So you can see the intelligence of Einstein, an intelligence of Shankaracharya, an intelligence of like Schrodinger, an intelligence of Stephen Hawking. All these people have highly evolved neural networks. And that which creates this neural network, these networks are formed in our brain. How that is formed and how this complex intelligence is derived out of it, that is me. The second line is wrong. It is not brilliance of the sun. It is the intelligence of the intellect. That's it. So just ignore that. Then tejas sinamaham. I am the shine of health, the sign of health of a healthy person, or it is the brilliance of an individual. It is the tejas, the glory, it is the expression of health is me. So when you see a healthy person, Whenever you see that your healthy system, it is me. The law that governs your body, oh my God, you should read how this human body works. Unbelievable. The level of intelligence, the level of complexity this body is designed. No human system can ever come closer to this. So this shine of health or this brilliance is me. So Tejas Sinamaham. So these are the few, another three example is given by Krishna. So one more time, he tells, Balam means Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam Vithi Partha Sanatanam. The eternal me is the seed of all being. So please be careful when you use the Sandhi and the interpretation. Means some people say that Sanatanam seed, Bijam. The Sanatanam is a qualifier of me. I am Sanatana. The eternal me is the seed of all beings. And some people try to interpret it as universal seed, but that's not the way Shankaracharya interprets. Shankaracharya interprets the life, the biological source of all the being. So that's, I feel that is the right interpretation. And then Buddhim Buddhimatam asmi, the intelligence of the intelligent people is me. The shine of health, the tejas, the brilliance in every person is me. So let's continue.
Balam balavatam kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha.
So we saw three more we saw. So now two more. 9 plus 3, 12, 14.
Balam balavatam kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha.
Beautiful. So he tells, Balam balavatam chaham kama raga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. Two more items, two more places we can see Ishvara. So he is giving the physical, his expression, he is giving some emotional expression, he is giving some intellectual expression. He is bringing that into the overall 360-degree experience. Everything is imminent, so you can experience it. So Balam balavatam chaham. So the strength of the strong. I am the strength in the strong. There are strong and powerful people in the universe. Who is really the strength of them? The strength you see the president of the country. The strength you see the prime minister of the country. The strength you see through the spiritual master. The strength, your own strength. Each one of us has some strength. Naturally, people can ask a question. So that means the Bin Laden was also strong. Mao was strong. Genghis Khan was very strong. So is that expression is also God. So that's why he put the next comment. When you see such expression, the negative expression, that means they are not reflecting Ishvara properly. So he tells, Balam balavatam chaham kama raga vivarjitam. The expression of strength where there is not bound by selfish desires and passion. So now look at all these dictators. Kamsa or a Bin Laden or all these people, all these dictators, what they do, Stalin or a Mao, all these people, what they do, when a small person rise against, they will kill them and eliminate them. Why? It is for their own desire and attachment to the power. So such power is not an expression of Ishvara. When you see the power coming out through a Buddha or a Vivekananda or a person leading a righteous war, such expression are Ishvara's expression. So balam balavatam chaham kama raga vivarjitam. That strength, expression of the strength, which is not a result of kama and raga. Kama means here binding desires, selfish desires. So the power and the strength you experience, right? The strength of Siddhartha, the strength of Maharana Pratap, the strength of so many people were there in the country, right? The Joan of Arc, all such people, that strength is Ishvara's strength. Then the next thing is Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharadashrabha. So Bharata Rishabha. Bharata Rishabha means the bull or the prominent one among the Bharata clan, meaning Arjuna or each one of us, because we all are descendant of Bharata. You know who is King Bharata, right? I already talked about that. Mahabharata, the famous king who ruled our country, who is the son of Dushyanta and Shakuntala. A king who is known for his wonderful change of policy in India, right? He is the famous one who decided that the eligibility to rule the country is not by birth but by eligibility. So he found that none of his sons were not qualified to become king. So he adopted a person and made him the king. And thereafterwards, it was a rule. The king of Hastinapura had to be made based on eligibility. And this rule, when it got violated, the Mahabharata war was about to start. And do you know who violated this? This rule of Bhishma violated it. So that was the starting of the Mahabharata war. So this is the background. So Kamosmi Bharatas. Kamosmi. Krishna said, I am the desire. I am the desire in you. I am the wish and desire in you is me. But he qualifies that. What? Dharma viruddho bhuteshu. Any desire that is not against dharma. A desire to study Bhagavad Gita. A desire to feed my family. A desire to get educated. So those non-binding desire which are not against dharma is me. So couple of things. The strength of the strong, but the strength is always qualified as free from selfish desires and attachment. And then desires, but that desires aligned with the dharma, or the desires that is not against dharma is me. So we saw 14 examples. So today we saw 5 more. First one was Balam Balavatam Asmi, the strength of the strong. Before that, seed of all being, like the biological source of all being, the intelligence of the intellect, the tejas of an individual. And then we saw the strength of the strong and desires which are not against dharma. So these are the 14 places immediately you can experience Ishvara. So when you see, because we see all these 14 things, but we never see the Ishvara there. So now understand that I don't need to go to a temple of course you have to go to a temple, that is for a different discipline. But for seeing Ishvara, just open your eyes and see. And those who studied Rudram, you know that, right? This is the chapters after chapters. He tells, I am the leaf, I am the river, right? Vrichepyo, Harikeshepyo Namaha. Like you can see, all these chantings just shows this imminent aspect of Ishvara. Not at over. When it comes to chapter 10, which is the Vibhuti Yoga, Krishna is going to give a list of other things. Among mountains, I am the Himalaya. Among Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Wherever you see that glory, it is me. So hundreds of examples are given, but at least a trailer is given. So this is very powerful. This can be used in meditation, and this can be very powerful. So let's continue. One more verse, we'll continue.
ये चैव सात्विका भावाः राजसास्तामसाश्च ये मत्त एवेति तान् विद्धि न त्वहं तेषु ते मयि.
This is an interesting verse. He tells echa eva swatika bhava, the swatik states. Rajasa tamasaschaye, and rajasic and tamasic. So he tells all that is born out of sattva, rajas and tamas is me. I'm going to explain this. Matta eveti tan vidhi. Know that means they come from me alone. Anything born out of sattva, rajas and tamas, know that it is born out of me. But he makes a claim. Even though they are born out of me, natvaham teshu me mai. I am not bound by them and they are not in me. So remember, Gita has some like some complicated verses. So the story is that the scriber of the Gita or the Mahabharata was Ganesha. Vyasa used to dictate these verses to Ganesha. So Ganesha put a condition saying that you have to give me continuously verses, otherwise I'll go away. Vyasa agreed, but Vyasa put a counter condition. What was that counter condition? You have to understand before you write. Yeah. So in between, what happens? If Vyasa want to take a little bit break, he gives a verse like this. So it will take few hours for Ganesha to understand. By that time, Vyasa will have the coffee or rest and come back. So this is one such verse. So let's try to understand this. It's very simple. You'll get it. So he tells, every being in the universe is born out of me. So we can see that in the universe, something is born as from the sattva. Sattva means purity. Means here the sattva, rajas, tamas is again a model used in the ancient world. You can see the sattva, rajas, tamas in the Sankhya literature. That is where it started, and Bhagavad Gita uses that extremely. So we need to understand the meaning. Sattva means purity, rajas means hyperactivity or agitation, and tamas means it is the negativity or inertia. That is a simple way of representing it. We are going to see this in detail in 14th chapter. But for the time being, let's see that. Now the thing is, we can say that even in our mind, some thoughts are born out of sattva. Some thoughts are born out of rajas. Some thoughts are born out of tamas. And some thoughts are born, means it's a mixture of all those three. So in our Puranic literature, symbolically they say that in the universe, all these exalted human beings or exalted beings like devas, they born out of the sattva guna. So all the devas born out of the sattva guna, or we can say that all the phenomenal forces that helps human being. Devas are symbolic representation of the phenomenal forces. The sun, the wind, the air, right? The air, the sun, the air, the fire, all these forces which are absolutely must have for the existence of the human being. They are born from the sattva guna. That is what is symbolically it is said. So don't think that there is a Devendra, there is all these people wearing all these glittering clothes like and staying on the cloud. And whenever somebody do a penance, Devendra gets all these type of stories. Please don't do that. It can be very confusing. So understand Devas as the phenomenal forces that are absolute must have for the human existence. So that is the Devas. We say that They are born out of the Sattva Guna. And there are elements in the universe which are completely harmful for the human beings. Destructive forces. For example, coronavirus. These are destructive forces which can affect the human life in this world. And they are symbolically represented as Rakshasas, demonic forces. So don't think that there is another Rakshasa like what I shown in the picture. This is the symbolic representation. It means that there are negative forces in the universe which is born out of Rajas. They are destructive. And then there are forces which are tamasic, born out of the tamasic nature, who do not have any discrimination. They are just programmed. So it is said that animals are born out of this tamas. So here Krishna says that everything is from me. Whether it is a tamasic being or rajasic being or a sattvic being, everything come out of me. How? So I will give you three examples. One example, simple example. So we have three buckets. One bucket, you have a pure water, calm water. The reflection of the sun born out of that bucket is pure. Now let's say that there is an agitated bucket. The bucket means the water is agitated. You will see a dancing sun. And the third bucket, it's a dirty water. So you see a dirty sun. So can I say that the dirty sun, the dancing sun, and the pure sun all came from where? Who gave existence to all these suns? The actual sun. Correct? So that is why Krishna said, whether it is Rajasic or Tamasic or Sattva, all these expressions came forth because of me. Because if I was not there, that dirty sun would not have been there. If I was not there, that dancing sun would not have been there. And if I was not there, that pure sun also would not have been there. So I am the cause. All these, whatever that comes out of the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, it is from me. And then he make a statement. They came from me, but I am not in them. So if that sun say, right, the dirty sun exists because of me, but is there any dirt in me? Absolutely not. The dancing sun exists because of me, but am I dancing? Absolutely not. So we need to understand that the expression of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas is from the matter. The combination of matter makes it Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. From a higher perspective, there is no Sattva, no Rajas, no Tamas. So that is what Krishna is expressing in this verse. So wherever there is a not so nice expression in the universe, understand that that also happens because of my presence, because otherwise it won't happen. But know that even though that exists because of me, I am not in them. So they are in me, I am not in them. I am completely separate, independent, all these things. But because of my presence, they get an existence. Another modern example. So you're projecting something, right? You're projecting something to the screen. You can project the story of Paramahamsa Yogananda, and you can project the most ugliest film in the world. Whatever that comes in front of the light get projected to the screen. The light gives existence to that projection. Without the light, that projection will not happen. But is that light becomes saint when you project the story of Bhagavad Gita? And is that light becomes tainted when you project a dirty film? So the Swami Chinmayananda, who used to use powerful expression, he used to say that the sunlight will not get holier when it shines on the top of the Bhagavad Gita. and the sunlight will not get tainted when it illuminate a dirty book or a gutter water. So this is a powerful expression. So Krishna is just giving that difference, just to understand that apara prakriti, the para prakriti, it is not affected by anything that is happening in the universe. So within the nature, within the realm of time and space, within the realm of matter, there are certain rules that governs the universe, and with that rule there can be sattva, rajas and tamas. Means we have to understand the karma theory to understand all those details, but just understand that without the presence of absolute reality, there is no existence for anything, whether it is good or bad. And by the way, just an expression, this is what made Carl Jung, the disciple of Sigmund Freud, so much attracted to our scriptures. Because otherwise what happens? You have to imagine a negative force, and then there is a constant war between God and Satan, and in between Satan wins and take control of human being, etc. So that issue is not here. So this is very, very, very specific. And we are going to see this in the upcoming verses a little bit more detail. So the point is, the sattva, raja, anything that comes out of sattva, rajas and tamas, it is coming from me. Even though they come out of me, I am not in them. I just give existence to them, but I am not affected by them. They are in me, I am not in them. Because without me, they do not have any existence. But I am not conditioned by them. I am not affected by them at all. So think about that sun's example. The dancing sun has no relationship with the original sun. The dirty sun, of course, the dancing sun is dependent upon the original sun, but the original sun has no connection. It is completely independent. So they are in me, I am not in them. Swami Chinmayananda loved this verse. He used to elaborate this verse a lot with all these very powerful examples. Just wanted to remember, even though all the beings are born out of me, I am not in them. So light is not responsible what is being projected on the screen. Electricity is not responsible for what song you play in an audio system. It can be the best song, it can be the dirtiest song. So that's the idea. So we are continuing our discussion on the nature of Ishvara. So today we saw the imminent, certain things we can use to identify the imminent nature of Ishvara. We saw 14 examples. Today we saw 5 more, brilliantly painted. And then he said, finally he concluded that these 5 are where you can see my expression easily. But that doesn't mean that everything else comes from a different source. Absolutely not. Everything in the universe has existence on me, my apara prakriti. So even though they exist in me, I am not conditioned or tainted by them. That's where it says. And now we are going to see a little bit more interesting topics. You will see, I see like the Ishvara Kripa. How each people what are all the different type of people who worship Ishvara, and what are all the different aspects of that worship, and all those interesting questions will be answered.